This is Nerds with Words, unlocking the vault of knowledge one nerdy fact at a time. I'm your host, Wonder Nerd. Today we're talking about water bears, scent of death, and not so pink fish. Are tardigrades the absolute best animal no matter what anyone else says because they are wrong? Yes. This part of the podcast is just me telling you all the things I love about tardigrades, and if you disagree, then sadly, you are wrong. Do you enjoy the smell of dead bacteria? If you love the smell of rain, then you sure do. When you order farm-raised salmon at a restaurant, is it a good thing that it's pink like the movies? Most likely, no. And we'll finish off today's show with puns. Let's get started. To start off, 5 reasons tardigrades are awesome, and if you disagree with any of these reasons, well, then you are as wrong as that one weird politician that brought a snowball in front of a room of people and said that was proof global warming wasn't real. That really did happen. It really did. Just go ahead and Google it. Reason number 1, they look like squishy, huggable little friends. Reason 2, they have 2 little things on each side of their face that look like eyes, but to be considered eyes, they have to be multicellular to be considered an eye, which is an organ. Instead, they have 2 little photoreceptors on each side of their face. Regardless, it makes them look adorable. Reason number 3, I wish I was small enough to boop them on their noses. I know that's not really a reason, it's just something I want to do, but I think it would be amazing. Reason number 4, they have survived the vacuum of space and can survive years in a hibernative state without food or water, meaning they are stronger than most marriages and any kind of relationship I've ever had. Reason number 5, because they move around like little caterpillars and that's really cute and they have little claws on each of their 8 little legs and it makes them look like derpy buddies. That's it. Moving on. Have you ever been walking around outside in the rain and thought it smelled heavenly? What you're smelling is the smell of geosmin. I probably pronounced that wrong, but it's a compound produced by certain blue-green algae called cyanobacteria and many Actinomyces bacteria. Honestly, I think we need to get rid of Latin because that was hard. More fun news, that amazing smell of geosmin is produced by only algae and bacteria when they die. In conclusion, if you like the smell of rain, you like the smell of dead bodies. Of algae and bacteria, moving on. Salmon are a type of fish born in freshwater streams, migrate to the ocean, then just turn around and go back to the stream to lay their eggs. It's kind of like when your dad asks you if you got everything before going on a family trip and you're about halfway there when you remember you forgot your meds and purposely wait another hour trying to build up the courage to tell him. Wild salmon has a pink flesh from a rich diet of a long word I can't pronounce that starts with an A. That is a reddish-orange compound found in shrimp and krill. This is found in wild salmon, but not farm-raised salmon, since they are fed kibble diet, kind of like a little swimming dog. In farm-raised salmon, their flesh is gray unless fed the reddish-orange compound to their diet as an additive. But that is expensive, so in return, it costs the consumer more on the back end. Side note, while researching, I found a lovely article from the Pacific Fish Grill on this topic, but I also stumbled upon a PETA article on the same topic. To avoid being accused of defamation, I'll encourage my nerds to find and read these 2 articles in comparison to one another and determine which one is actually factual and which one is absolutely downright insane. One talks about deceptive marketing practices, increased production costs, environmental costs, and health risks in a productive way while suggesting to the reader they learn about where their salmon is raised. In contrast, the other claims that you could be eating fire retardant says there are nematode infestations in every salmon examined by the CDC, blamed eating too much fish on infant development and memory development, and says that some salmon contracted flesh-eating bacteria, even though literally everything is made out of flesh, and claims just never eating salmon is better. On a side note, finding roundworm in your salmon or sushi can lead to infection. According to the FDA, there are fewer than 10 cases every year, and they are typically from raw, incorrectly prepared fish. Properly freezing or cooking the fish will kill the worm if there are any in them. This rant was my way of encouraging you nerds to monitor your sources, using primary sources from trusted, peer-reviewed sources when possible, and being mindful of confirmation bias, where if you seek out an answer for something specific, even if it's wrong, you will find it. There is so much food fraud happening around the world, be it from salmon to Parmesan cheese to olive oil to honey. Even though food fraud only affects about 1% of the global food market, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry that isn't just economically problematic, but can also be deadly. In this segment, I just covered salmon, but the main takeaway is this: know where your food comes from and know the sources to trust and listen to, especially in the age of technology and the internet where everyone and their mom has an opinion. It is so important to keep a skeptical eye and ask questions, even if it makes those around you uncomfortable. Now we move on to my favorite part of the podcast where I cause the following symptoms: laughter, groans, and the hope the next time I have a nosebleed, it's in a pool of sharks. It's time for puns. What microorganism is always late? It's the adorable, cute little tardigrade. Get it because they're tardy? What did the snow cloud say to the rain cloud? I'm cooler than you. Get it because it's colder? What's a fish's favorite party game? Salmon says. Salmon says. Alrighty, nerds, before you go back to the mundane, immerse yourself in the extraordinary by learning at least one random useless fact every day. You can use them as a torturous punishment, pick up line for a fine dude or gal, or use them to fill the uncomfortable silence after horrible news is told. How fun is that? Links to the articles for this podcast are in the bio. This was Nerds with Words, where I spend my time talking about things that make me happy because reasons. Stay curious, stay nerdy. Bye, nerds.